You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday, July 25th, 2018. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story today is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Wednesday. First thing to know is U.S.-EU trade talks are an issue. Investor sentiment is somewhat cautious ahead of a meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and European Commissioner President Jean-Claude Juncker at the White House this afternoon. The meeting comes amid strained trade relations between the European Union and the United States. Trump has already slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from the EU and has threatened to extend those measures to the European auto sector, which would prompt retaliatory action from Brussels. Ahead of the talks, Trump tweeted that tariffs are great and claimed the U.S. is being treated as a piggy bank by countries who run a trade surplus with it. He also called for both sides to completely abolish tariffs, subsidies, and other trade barriers. Boeing Facebook earnings are to grab attention. Facebook earnings, after the bell, will be the day's most anticipated report as the busiest week of the second quarter earnings season continues. Consensus at the street shows another blowout quarter, with revenue rising to $13.35 billion. It's up from $9.32 billion in the year ago period, and adjusted earnings per share rising $1.71 from $1.59. Besides Facebook, Wednesday will be a very busy day for corporate results, with Boeing, General Motors, Coca-Cola, United Parcel Service, and Grubhub the notable reporters before market open. The third thing to note today is U.S. stock futures point to a subdued open. U.S. stock futures pointed to a subdued open with the topic of trade resurfacing as the head of the European Commission meets with President Donald Trump. Fourth thing to note is the dollar ticks lower ahead of housing data. Away from equities, the U.S. dollar was a shade lower as investors looked ahead to U.S. housing data for further clues on when and how fast the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates. The U.S. dollar index was down almost 0.2% at 94.23. Elsewhere in the bond market, U.S. Treasury prices ticked higher, pushing yields lower across the curve, with the benchmark 10-year yield dipping to around 2.94%, while the Fed-sensitive 2-year note was near 2.64%. And the fifth thing to note today is weekly EIA oil supply report is in focus. The U.S. Energy Information Administration will release its official weekly oil supplies report for the week ended June 20th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, amid forecasts for an oil stock drop of 2.3 million barrels. After markets closed Tuesday, the American Petroleum Institute said that U.S. oil inventories fell by 3.16 million barrels last week. The API data also showed supplies of gasoline fell by 4.87 barrels, a bit more than that, million barrels, while distillate stockpiles slid 1.32 million barrels. Oil prices were higher for the second day in a row. The second story today is from CNBC.com. GM cuts 2018 outlook as Trump trade war drives up steel and aluminum costs. General Motors shares tumbled Wednesday after the largest U.S. automaker cut its profit outlook for the year, citing higher raw material costs and unfavorable foreign exchange rates in South America. Steel and aluminum prices have been on the rise since the Trump administration imposed tariffs on the auto industry's two key raw materials. The automaker now expects to earn about $6 per share in 2018, down from its previous forecast of $6.30 to $6.60. GM shares were down more than 5% in the pre-market. General Motors profits beat Wall Street expectations. It posted earnings per share of $1.81 on an adjusted basis compared with the $1.78 expected by analysts surveyed by Thomson Reuters. Revenue in the 3 months ended in June came in at $36.76 billion, slightly higher than estimates, but down 0.6% from a year earlier. Our third story today is from NASDAQ.com. Exchange operator NASDAQ's quarterly profit rises 11%. NASDAQ Inc. reported an 11% rise in quarterly profit on Wednesday, helped by a boost in its newer businesses that provide a broader range of news and other information used by traders. Revenue from NASDAQ's Information Services unit rose 21.5% to $175 million, while revenue from its Market Technology unit was up 13.8% at $66 million. Exchange operators have been diversifying from a stock-based transaction business and focusing on market technology and information services. Market services revenue, the fees the exchange operator earns from stock-based transactions, rose 4.7% to $6.49 billion. Our final story today is from CNBC.com. Waymo strikes a deal with Walmart and others to boost access to self-driving cars. Waymo, the alphabet company that spun out of Google's former self-driving car division, is partnering with some of the country's largest companies to expand how many people have access to its self-driving vehicles. In partnerships with 5 companies, including Walmart, AutoNation, and Avis, Waymo autonomous vehicles will pick up customers and drive them to various locations in the Phoenix area. In some cases, customers will be offered savings or deals in order to be shuttled around in Waymo vehicles. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Wednesday, July 25th, 2018, your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli, Trade Smart, and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Options News Rundown. To learn more about these stories or any other developments from the world of options, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.